Hey, good morning, everybody. Scott with Options for Senior Living and the Options University. Welcome back to the podcast. Don't let Haboob hit you in the face. And every time I tell people about Don't Let Haboob, they go, "What the heck are you talking about?" And if you look over my shoulder here, back in this summer, Steph, if you remember, we had a dust cloud about 65 miles wide, about a mile high, sweep over the city. I didn't know it was coming. Most people didn't. And this Don't Let Haboob is a metaphor for what happens in life, particularly with people that we love who are aging. Stuff's going on in their life that we may or may not be paying attention to. And when we don't, we are often in the middle of crisis and a lot of chaos. And so this morning I wanted to introduce everybody to one of my dearest friends, Stephanie Bivens of the Bivens Law Firm. Steph's one of the premier elder law attorneys in the greater Phoenix area. She's been at this for a couple of weeks, helping families navigate the complexities of aging. And so, Stephanie, I am thrilled to talk to you. I feel like you and I could talk for a couple of hours. It is so good to talk to you and see your face. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Scott. Really excited to be here.
Well, tell everybody real quick what an elder law attorney is and what that specialty niche is for you.
Yeah, so a lot of people haven't even heard of elder law attorneys, and what we do is more defined by who we serve than even the specific area of law that we practice. But in general, in elder law, we're helping our senior clients and their families navigate the issues that come up with aging. And in addition to the medical side, which is, your part of the world and the care side, there are legal issues that come up that you can't take care of somebody's finances and medical or well-being issues without the right legal tools. And so in the context of elder law, we're handling estate planning for seniors. We're handling what happens when a senior doesn't have these legal documents in place and going to court, getting guardianship, conservatorship, so someone responsible can assist the senior in handling life's aging issues. We also handle long-term care planning. Not everybody can afford home health, assisted living, memory care. It's very
Right.
expensive, particularly since the pandemic years. The costs have just skyrocketed. And so families are worried about, well, what happens if, my loved one goes bankrupt? How are we going to afford care? What type of care are they going to be able to get? And so we help families navigate those concerns and preserve assets and look to public benefits in many instances to kind of fill
Right.
that gap, make sure folks don't go bankrupt and get the quality of care they need and deserve all at the same time. So those are kind of the highlights. There's lots of stuff in
There's
between. But
it,
yeah, in general, we're just helping families navigate the issues that arise with aging, whether we're doing pre-planning work or crisis planning.
yeah, I imagine if you're sitting there talking to the senior, the person in their 70s or 80s, maybe when the planning's done, you're looking at the kids and going like, hey, if you want to, and especially if they're in some sort of crisis or maybe Haboob
Yeah.
has hit them, you're now looking at the kids going like, where are you at? Do you want this same
Oh, yeah.
situation for your kids?
Yeah, so very frequently it's the adult, baby boomer age children like us, Scott, that
Yep.
are dealing with moms, dads, aunts, uncles situation, and it's a calamity. And we kind of get it all sorted out. And then they turn around and look at me and they're like, I do not want to put my children through
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
What can I do? So yeah,
Yeah.
we have multiple generation client families in the
I
firm.
bet.
I've been doing this for close to 30 years, Scott, which is scary to say. I'm a certified elder law attorney, fewer than I think 500 of us SELAs throughout the country. So as I like to say, not my first rodeo. I'm really blessed to have multiple generations within the same family coming to us for advice and help. So
Yeah, yeah. But that speaks to you as a person, how you run your business, the caliber of work you and your partners do over there at your firm. Yeah, and just so that I'll just honk your horn for a minute. There's a lot of, I think the average Joe feels some kind of a barrier. Attorney carries with it a lot of weight. You guys do a very important work, but I think there's some intimidation factor or fear factor, cost factor, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And when I remember when first time I approached you about helping me with the Passers group years ago, and that Passers is our association for the placement industry. We're an unlicensed and unregulated group of knuckleheads for the most part, but we're professionals that help families navigate the complexities of long-term care. And we were trying to start an association. I went to Stephanie. I said, man, I could really use your help. We need your vision, your legal awareness, your credibility to what we're doing. How would you feel about volunteering your time? And like you had no hesitation in saying, oh my God, thanks for asking. And then hosted our parties, supported our conferences. And so I have felt like, as I've known you and when Emily was practicing elder law and Laura Johnson, some of you guys that are in that space I've known for quite a while, you have the heart of a social worker and a teacher and a care provider as much as your brilliant legal mind. I think
Yeah,
you have to.
that's
Yeah.
so true, Scott. I say all the time, it's like, yes, I'm a trained lawyer by education, but there's a lot of social work that I'm doing on the side. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm sitting down with a family that's just now in this world, mom, and they're talking to me and they're saying like, oh, dad's falling all the time. Mom's, not great with her medication. She had a mishap. She ended up in the hospital. And families are acting like this is normal. And they're like, oh, we just need, power of attorney. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. You need a lot more. Let me refer you to, a whole host of senior industry professionals. So I always like to say, as the elder law attorney, sometimes we feel like a little bit, to use a sports analogy, like the quarterback of the team, where it's like, yeah, I may be, kind of masterminding the play and how this is going to go, but I can't do everything on my own. You need legal support. You need to understand the laws, how you can use them, what tools you need to support your elderly loved one or your spouse, whoever that is that's having these issues common related to aging. But you also need a whole other team, right? There's
Right.
folks like you, placement professionals, doctors, financial advisors, CPAs, care managers, fiduciaries. There's a,
Yep.
depending on the dynamic of what's going on at any one point in time, you may need 2 or 3 other professionals to help. And unfortunately, what I hear too often is, I wish I would have known. I mean, how many times have you heard this? The family comes in, they've been, overwhelmed, overrun. They feel like they're making decisions. They're like whack-a-mole. There's this issue, their head pops up, they make a decision. They're like, okay, we're good. Nope, clubbed over the head again. They poke their head up, life seems stable. Oh, nope, they're like the little mole in the whack-a-mole game. And it's like, if they had just known what they didn't know, I say all the time, better information leads to better outcomes. We always have a game plan. The other thing I always say to clients is like, listen, my job is to plan for the worst and hope for the best. We've been there, done that, right? We're trying to say, okay, here's where the family situation is now. Here's things might be great today, but what if they aren't? Who do you trust to pay your bills, manage your affairs, direct your medical care? Where would you want that care delivered? Are you planning on living with family? Are they aware?
Right.
How is that going to
Right.
work financially, legally? Are you planning on staying at home? How is that going to work for you? Are you planning on remaining in Arizona? Maybe you should go tour some places, because God forbid you have a stroke. All of a sudden, you're out on the golf course one day,
Yep.
the next day you're 81 and now you have left side paralysis and some aphasia, and you're not able to go back home because your care needs are too great for your spouse or your loved ones at home. Where would you like to be? You want to have that conversation, and maybe you want to do some tours, not with the idea you ever are going to move out of your own home, but gosh, don't you want to be a part of that conversation rather than your family just being told with rehab? And you know this, Scott, Oh, you
Oh
got 48
gosh.
hours. Medicare, if you're lucky, you've got 48 hours. Medicare is
Yep.
going to cut off. You got to pick a place.
Oh, I got 100
And now,
days. I got 100 days. Oh yeah, you're
and
not
now you're
getting
in the
them.
mad scramble, right? It's sort of
Right.
all this toxic stew of you're going to be making 400 decisions, but you're not going to have the information to be able to feel confident in the choices that you're making as a family. And
Yeah.
that's what elder law does. We give families the information and the legal tools to be confident in the decisions that they are making. I can't predict the future, but I can
Right.
plan for and help a family navigate the what ifs.
It,
And
it,
so I hate it when I hear, oh, I wish I would have known.
you read my mind. I had a question here in front of me. It says, I wish more people would. Boom.
Yeah, get their estate planning in place. And I will
Yeah.
say this, people think an estate planning is about a will. They think it's related to when I pass, who's going to handle my affairs and who is going to inherit. And yes, that is a very important feature of an estate plan. And if you talk to a traditional estate planning attorney, that is their focus. When the client passes away, how do we get their stuff from point A to point B? Do we avoid probate? Do we minimize tax? Who's in charge? Can we avoid family conflict? I can do that in my sleep, right? There are rules to that. There are
Right.
statutes as to how that process generally works. Where the elder law attorney is focusing is the decades before the client passes. So we've got the post life stuff, but we also have the during the life stuff. And I think that's
Right.
where the elder law attorney really shines because it's the medical directives, really thinking that through. What do you want in the way of care and treatment? Who's going to advocate? Have you thought about what is the skill set of the person that you're naming, right? We have those conversations with clients. If you're incapacitated, or as I like to say, you are still with us, but you're not with it for any period of
Mm-hmm.
time. People get it when I take a legal term and I put into the everyday nomenclature, right? If you're still with
Yeah.
us, but you're not with it, who's going to pay your bills, right? And you need a power of attorney. Even if you have a trust, you still need a power of attorney. So here's what happens if you don't do this planning, right? So Scott, you're like, I wish people would, right? Get their affairs in order.
Yeah.
Here's why. Here's what happens when you don't have your affairs in order. We usually end up in court. So most people know they want to avoid probate when they die. People don't even know what probate is, right? They just know it's
It's a
bad.
bad word. I
They
just don't
just
know
know
what
it's
it is.
bad and they
Yeah.
don't want it. And you wouldn't be wrong, right? But people are thinking, I don't want my estate to go through probate because I don't want my loved ones to get tied up in court. It costs more. It's not private, more lawyers, more rigmarole just to get what I own handled and to my loved ones, right? That's what people think of as probate. But what most people don't realize is if you become incapacitated and we don't have these great legal tools in place, there are circumstances under which your family is going to have to go to court, declare you an incapacitated adult through a court order, and become your legal guardian and your conservator. So now for the rest of your life, you've got a lawyer that you didn't know, you didn't pick, that got assigned to you to represent your interests. Do we like them? Do we know them? Maybe, maybe not.
Could be
Um,
anything.
right, could be anybody. You've got all these lawyers, you've got a judge who's overseeing things, we've got annual accountings, filings, court fees, court costs, everything's public among certain family members, not family members, all your children, not children you like, children that like you, all the kids get
You
noticed.
mean kids might have different agenda? I don't know.
Oh yeah, kids have different agendas. It becomes much more complicated and much more burdensome on your family, and you don't want to be the subject of guardianship and conservatorship. If you didn't want your estate to go through probate when you pass, you really don't want to be the subject
Uh,
of a guardianship or conservatorship, and you don't want your family to have that burden as well. And that's what happens when people don't do planning. I talk to so many families where, oh, mom's has dementia and it's advanced, and they come in and they're like, we need power of attorney because she's no longer competent to make her own medical decisions, or the financial advisor is called, she's giving away
uh,
money, it's a disaster, she's not paying bills, she's overpaying bills. And I'm like, she has advanced dementia. She's past the point where we have legal capacity to have her
yeah.
sign a power of attorney. Why wasn't this done? This didn't
Yeah.
happen overnight. So families were just aware. And one of the things I hear, this was just an interesting thread on a Facebook post over the weekend. And I just couldn't sit silent, and I had to jump in because, of course, it's me, Scott.
What are you talking
There was
about? You tell
misinformation
me.
on Facebook. Shocker,
I thought
right?
it was the
And
gospel.
somebody
Yeah.
said, well, once you have a diagnosis of dementia, you can't do these documents. And so you have to go to court. And I'm like, no, that's not actually true. A diagnosis of dementia doesn't mean necessarily you lack legal capacity to sign documents.
Right.
It's not a diagnostic test,
Right.
it's a legal capacity test.
Yep.
Conversely, I've asked clients, so let's talk about your parents, cognitive abilities and executive functioning, because I'm trying to tease out, does this person likely have legal capacity to sign documents? And the adult child's like, yeah, they won't understand it, but they can sign anything. Sure, they can sign a power of attorney. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not the test either. It's
That's
not,
not okay.
if I
Yeah.
have dementia, I can't do it, or they can sign something. So, yep, we're good to go. It's a very
Yeah.
nuanced approach. And so for families dealing with any older adult who is starting to have some cognitive issues, some memory impairment, some confusion, whether there's a formal diagnosis or not, now is the time. Run, don't walk,
Yep.
or the haboob may hit you in the face
Haboob's coming.
if you don't get into an elder law attorney in particular to deal with some of these planning issues in advance. And I say go to an elder law attorney, not an estate planning attorney, because the elder law attorney is going to get all the legal documents, but we're also going to start a conversation about if that day comes and this individual is not able to perform all of their activities of daily living on their own and they need help. What does the financial situation look like? Are they going to be able to get the help they need if family is not able to 100% pay for care, provide care, at no out-of-pocket cost to this level? And families always think they're going to, but sometimes medical situations, family dynamics change, and it's not possible. And so you want to have that backup plan, right? Plan for the worst, hope for the best. And that's what the elder law attorney is going to do. So get your affairs in order ahead of time. If that's not possible and the calamity strikes, don't wait. Don't go it on your own. Don't rely on Facebook for your information. Please go see an elder law attorney.
Yeah.
And
All those.
and know the landscape, right? You don't know what you don't know.
Well, can I speak to this? And then I'm going to ask you another question. Those of us that work in these spaces where aging folks are, and they're getting resources, and your practice is about resources. I had to develop a lot of resources because I don't do all things. I don't want to do all things. I need you.
Right.
I need the realtor to get rid of the house. I need the mover.
Right.
I need a lot of things in my life. But I think there's a message that you have from your expertise and your years down in the trenches with families that estate planners who maybe do not practice elder law, I think there are questions we can help them with. I think there are things to be ferreting out with their clients so that either they call you for some additional consultation or they at least have their own tool belt with some guys in it that can help them. What do you think about that? Because this podcast is going to be heard by families and adult kids, but it's also right in the crosshairs of other professional stuff. And since there's so few elder law, you've got a whole group of folks that do estate planning. What can we help them with that maybe be a couple of questions that would be helpful to them?
Yeah, so we actually get a lot of client referrals from estate planning attorneys.
Yeah, I bet.
Something happens in the client's life, they go back to their estate planning attorney, and the estate planning attorney realizes it's outside of their practice area, like preserving assets, applying for Medicaid long-term care benefits. Right. We have behavioral issues that now make it impossible for an agent to adequately provide care because the patient is opposing appropriate medical treatment and we need guardianship because of behavioral issues. Those are things that the estate planning attorneys generally just don't do. And so we get a lot of referrals from that area. So I think I do a lot of continuing legal education for lawyers in a bunch of different practice areas, including estate planning. So those are the kinds of things, it's issue spotting, right? Know how to issue spot and then have a good trusted other professional. Like, as you said, I'm not selling houses, but I have some, realtors that I know that are licensed as senior real estate specialists.
And they're
It's
really
having
skilled
those
with the family part of it. Yeah.
trusted, partners that you can say, okay, I have vetted, I know this person's, a great professional, they're honest, they have integrity, I've seen their work, and being able to comfortably refer clients to those other resources that they need.
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I was,
But financial advisors are seeing a huge wave of this. Estate planning
oh yeah.
attorneys, our aging population is just booming, right? I mean, we're called the boomers for a reason. So, you know, we're we're overwhelming the system, and it's just
Well,
going to become more. So all of these
yeah.
issues are going to be before a lot of other disciplines and professionals that have never seen these issues at this rate.
Well, here's the reality of it. There's 160,000 80-year-olds in Maricopa County as of 2020 census. There's a million 65-year-olds. So you're going to help a few hundred. I'm going to help a few hundred this year. That leaves a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And so my mission is to help those other professionals that might be listening to us, equip them with either how to find the right people in their world or to
Mhm.
get up to speed on some of these issues, because you're going to have aging people and their families. A question I've been asking a lot of people, doctors' offices and attorneys like yourselves, is when you're talking to a family member, is just basically say to them, do you have a loved one whose aging journey is causing you or the rest of the family system some trouble or distress? And we would all
That is
go
a
like,
great question, because who doesn't raise their hand to that, right?
yeah,
We all have
yeah,
one, or we all know somebody
yeah,
who is going through
yeah, yeah.
something.
My best friends from high school, two of my buddies lost their dads this year. I just lost my mom a few weeks back.
Yeah.
My in-laws, my father-in-law just unfortunately had to move into memory care from his assisted living. Things are changing. And so
Hmm.
the reality is that we're saturated in not just in our work, but in our personal life. And when
Yeah.
Haboob hits,
Oh,
now
yeah.
I'm feeling aftermath of sibling discord and
Yeah.
disconnect from people that you thought you were
Yeah. And
solid with or not.
one of the things that's really helpful with planning is having a game plan and getting the buy-in, or at least having the discussion as a family, so that expectations are not met, right?
Mm.
Because when people have different ideas, that's when conflict arises. And so we've worked with families that we thought were, they thought they were heading into court and litigation over who should be handling mom and dad's affairs, or does dad stays home, or move to memory care, home with home health, or move to memory care. All of these issues, oftentimes families are coming at this, everybody wants what's best for mom or dad, but they have different opinions about how to get there. And so, elder law attorneys, we deal with these conflicts routinely. That's a lot of where the social work comes in. We can kind of
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
explain things. I find once families are educated, sometimes we bring in care managers, bring
Right.
in an independent third party that can say, okay, kids, here's really what's going on with mom or dad now.
Yep.
Here's what their needs truly are. And bringing people along in getting educated as to what is happening, what are the options, and what is best for mom or dad, and trying to put aside the sibling stuff, the distrust, I always joke, who got the little red wagon when we were all 5 and who didn't, who was the favorite, who wasn't, all that sibling stuff can percolate. We can have fully functioning adults who are awesome in their lives. But when it comes to family, it's like we're all children again, those
That's
issues,
right. That's
those
right.
emotions. So oftentimes bringing in third party professionals can diffuse a lot of that, because we're used to mediating these
Yeah.
disputes. And
I
in my world, we will litigate them if we have to. I'd
yeah.
rather not. I'd rather a family come out of this intact and not have a judge have to make decisions. But there are definitely
Right.
situations where that's what we have to do.
I do want to just say, hey, listen, one of the things that's really profoundly important about your work is that you've been sharing it. You said you're an educator for other attorneys and do continuing
Oh,
education. You've done it for the fiduciary groups around town, but you've also written a couple of books. Tell people where they might be able to get your
yeah.
publications, because I think those are
So
great resources for professionals and families.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I appreciate the question. So we've got lots of good stuff on our website, which is bivenslaw.com, BIVENSLAW.com. We have a free e-library. You just put your email address in and you'll have access to frequently asked questions, estate planning checklists, how to avoid probate, all kinds of information on things in my world. And so, kind of that intimidation factor you mentioned, Scott, earlier. Sometimes it's intimidating to call a lawyer. You don't know
Yeah.
what you don't know. It's a great baby step for
Yeah.
families, get some general information. We also have some tools. I created what I call our private information guide, a personal and financial organizer. That's available. I think it's like $15 off our website. It's a fillable, downloadable PDF. It's a great conversation starter for the adult child to download it and start talking to mom and dad about, hey, mom and dad, if I'm the person that's going to take over, if you're incapacitated or a worst case scenario, where do you bank? Who's your financial advisor? What's your health insurance company? If your dog gets sick, who's the veterinarian? Like, who's your pool guy
Yeah.
if your pool turns green? Like, if I
Yeah.
have to handle all this stuff for you, where do I even start? Right? Because it's
Yeah.
one thing to have all of your legal documents in order. It's another to actually give them the information, the boots on the ground information they're
Yeah.
going to need. Saves a lot of time, a lot of aggravation for the person that will be your helper. So we've created that. I did just put in, I'm an international best-selling author now, Scott, woohoo, as of a couple of weeks ago. There's a resource that will be in print version in January. It's an ebook version on Amazon now called Planned Senior Moments Scottsdale.
Yep.
18 different senior industry professionals
Yep.
collaborated. I've
Yep.
written the chapter on how an elder law attorney can help you, but it's got lots of great resources. I think for professionals or families out there looking for information and resources, that could be a great
Yeah.
resource
Yeah.
for you. So yeah, lots of good
Well,
stuff out there. What else do
follow
I have?
Steph on, oh my God, follow you on LinkedIn, all the
Yeah, I've got a
things.
YouTube. I have some old seminars I've done are up on YouTube. We're working to get, there's only so many hours in the day, Scott. It's hard to get it all done. I do
Sleep
have some
like I
stuff on
sleep
YouTube. We do a lot of
fast.
speaking engagements. Yeah.
You're the best. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for sharing your insights. I would love to have you do this again with me, again, maybe after the first of the year, and
Ah,
pick your brain some more. And I
Scott,
think
I'm a
there's
super
so much.
fan, so I always look forward to our conversations. You're so gracious with your time and your energy and the wealth of knowledge that you have to help so many families. So I appreciate what you do, and I'm always all in on any projects you've got.
Gotcha. All right. I thank you. Thanks for joining us today, y'all. Take care. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye bye.